Golly. Oh. You see that? Look at my bait. That's a pretty nice fish, wasn't it? Guys and girls, do you know what a wake bait is? Do you know what a wake bait is? Well, a wake bait, and we've actually been making these wake baits for a long time ourselves. We've been taking something like a stick bait, a floating stick bait, not a suspending one, but one that floats. And we've been bending the eye around. We've been adding suspend strips to it, little lead strips to it, to make it work the way we wanted. And what we want is we want a bait that floats on top of the water, and when we bring back, does not dive under the water. So it just wobbles and creates a wake up on top of the water. This is a bait right here. This is a Lucky Strike wake bait. It's kind of a mean looking bait. It kind of look like it's got an angry look on its face. But I'm going to show you today how to fish a wake bait, hopefully catch some fish on it. That was a nice one right there, so we know they'll bite it. Now that may be the only bite we get all day, I don't know. But I'm gonna show you how to catch fish on a wake bait and tell you some things that you ought to be doing with it to have a lot of fun. This is the time of the year to fish it. After the fish get through spawning, you got fry around in the water, perfect time to fish it around, perfect bait to fish around fry. A wake bait, let's get after it and see if we can get some bites. It's a little bitty something. A bluegill got himself hooked on that wake bait. That's a pretty aggressive fish right there. Look at the size of that bait and the size of that fish. That's a nice sized bluegill, but no way could he get that bait in his mouth. Absolutely no way. I've got my barb bent down, but it's still precarious grabbing a hold of that fish that way. What did he think he was going to do with that? Take it home to the wife and kids? Oh, there he is. They're in some of these deep trees. Now, those aren't big fish. That's the smallest one I've had on. They're in these deep trees. They're suspended. One of the things that a bass does after that's a male right there. He might have been guarding some fry. That's a male bass right there. See, and the fry should be out around the trees some, so some of those fry, but the fry being around the trees will also cause a lot of big female bass to get around there. So that's a couple of bites that I've had out from deeper trees, so we might concentrate a little bit more on fishing out in the deeper stuff as opposed to fishing the bank. And I think a lot of it we probably will see some fry. We should see some fry today. The fry's still pretty small, but they double in size just, real quickly. Almost every day seems like they fry double. They have to double real quick to survive. They have to get big and get down in the grass and trees and brush and stuff to survive. So, and most of the fry do not survive. If they did, we would have millions and millions of fish in every body of water. It's a pretty small percentage of fry, bass fry and crappie fry, that actually make it past the fry stage. There's the one. He hit it dead still. Dead still. One of the things that you want to remember with a wake bait is another small male. We've got to find some bigger fish too. Usually catch really nice fish on this wake bait. That's a little bit better than what we've been getting a hold of. That's a female fish there. But one of the things you got to remember is this is a topwater bait. This is a topwater bait just like any other topwater bait. You want to do the same things. When you throw that bait out there, you want to let it wait until all the ripples die down. So you want to throw it out there and just let it wait. And many times you'll catch a fish right there. That fish does not know what that bait's going to do. It just knows something's falling out of heaven. Let the ripples die down before you start moving it. And then I like to just give it a wiggle or two and then start waking it. Got some moss on that. There's one. That was pretty. Another small one. We should be catching some bigger fish than this. Most everything we're catching is a male today. We got to find, that's a girl right there. Yeah, it's a little bit better fish than I thought it was when I saw her swimming around out there. Oh yeah, it's the biggest one we've caught so far. Look at the belly on her. Yeah, you got a pretty belly on you, girl. Yes, you do. That's a nice fish right there. Look at the belly on her. She's got something. Oh, she got crawfish pink, whiskers sticking out. So she's got a big old crawfish or two in her. This color I'm fishing is it's got a little purple on top of it, and it's kind of crawfish colored bait. Never saw a crawfish swim across the top of the water like that. Yep, she got crawfish on her breath. They're not blowing up on that bait at all. When you're in a calmer water, like we're protected from the wind back in this little pocket right here, when you protect the water, you want to let all those ripples die down. You throw it out there, let all the ripples die down, and just give it a wiggle or two and then start moving. Now, when you start moving it, you want to hold your rod tip up high, and then you can, as you start back in, you can lower your rod tip back down. The reason you hold your rod tip up high is you want to keep that bait up on top so it creates a wake. That's why it's called a wake bait, obviously. So in other words, I want to hold my line up tight so my line's not dragging down in the water and pulling drag and wanting to make that bait go down a little bit where it won't create a wake. It's going to stay on top of the water, but you want it creating a wake right there. It's exactly what you want to have happen with it. Right there, turned through behind the boat at a tree and got a nice one. That's not a male there. If it's a male, he's a good male. That's a good one right there, yeah. Come here, baby. You stay buttoned up on there. Stay buttoned. It is a male. It sure is a male. It's just a nice big male. A lot of those fry will move to the trees and use those trees for protection. And I don't think the fry move there. I think the male moves them there. The male bass is what guards. That's a male. See him? Look at his belly there. No belly like that big one I caught just a minute ago. That's just a big male fish right there. And more than likely, there's some fry out there, and they're actually protecting those fry. And also, they're having to protect them to fight off other bass, because the other bass will be in there eating those fry as well. Turn around and throw in that tree there. Tell you what, let's find some areas where we can fish at top of a lot of trees. That one hit it sitting dead still. Again, in the top of a tree, though. That's probably another male. We got something going here. It's not a bad fish. I think it is a male. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. A pretty nice fish, too. See how he just got one treble of that? This is a Lucky Strike wake bait is what it is. And, you know, one of the things about a wake bait, it's a topwater. You don't have to go buy a dozen of them. You're not going to go out there and hang them up and lose them unless you throw them up in the woods and can't get to them. Then you leave them there for future generations to find. Another big male. Another big male. I love it. I love it. I love it. Go on the top of another tree. Yes. There's another one. All these are males laying out in these trees. You know, I caught one or two female out, but most of the females are in the grass. These males are laying out in the top of the tree. That's a pretty nice fish, but it's another male. Oh. Ah, Jimmy, don't you get that hook in you. Don't you get that hook in you, barbless or not, it still hurts. Another male. Pretty good sized males, a lot of them. That's exactly what we have happening. They love that wake bait after the spawn. There's a lot of baits that are key the time of the year you fish them and the conditions you fish them in. There's a lot of other baits that you can fish, you know, year round and have success in. Sometimes you have to change your techniques around a little bit. But a wake bait after the fish get through spawning, when the fish are schooling, it's a dynamite bait when fish are schooling also. They're schooling on shad. So it's another great weapon to use in your arsenal when fish are schooling. And sometimes they don't hit any other bait but a wake bait when they're schooling. You can throw a lot of other different baits behind them and around the schooling fish and they don't bite. Now there's times when schooling fish will bite anything you throw in there too. But golly, that was pretty. That's a big old fish right there. Boy, he come up and ate that bait. I'm talking about ate that bait. That's a big old fish right there. Get him away from these trees. Trying to pull out in the middle. One of the things you want to do when you're around a lot of brush, you get a good fish on, start heading away from the cover. I'm gonna put my boat on spot lock. I'll keep him out there. That's a big old fish right there, guys and girls. I saw that fish coming from 10 foot away. I saw him just a big streak coming out of the clear water. Come here, baby. Come here. Look at that fish. One hook. He's got a good chance of getting loose before I get over there and get my thumb in him. When you put your thumb in their mouth, they're going to do that jerk, so get you a good tight grip. Woo-hoo-hoo. That's a 7 or 8 pound fish. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. 7 or 8 pound, oh golly. 7 or 8 pound fish right there. He's heavy. Might weigh over 8. That is a giant. Look at that fish. Oh my goodness. That is a dandy. On that wake bait, I saw that fish coming out of the top of the tree, coming from about 20 feet away. Woo, that is precious. Oh, look at the mouth on that booger. I just about stick my whole fist down there. Well, I could stick my whole fist in there. I see something, I can't tell what it is, sticking out of its mouth. Golly. Ah. Woo! That, sports fans, is why you make sure that you throw a wake bait out here. The bait is, even though it's got a little bill on it, the way the bill is, it's made where it won't dive down. It's just a precision wake bait that anybody can fish. You don't have to take one of your jerk baits and doctor it up and work on it and fool with it and throw it. And the thing about those jerk baits, once we had them fixed up, once we caught a fish like that fish or some of the fish I've caught today, we had to adjust it. We had to adjust it to get it running back again because we bend that eye. But now you see the eye is straight on this Lucky Strike bait. And so it's just I'm nervous. I saw how big that fish was. That was a big, big fish. Oh, there's another one. Golly, they're coming up and getting that bait on top of the water. God, it's so gorgeous. I mean, that is so gorgeous. That's another good fish. Oh, he lunched it. He lunched it. The bait is completely, I need to retie. The bait is completely down in his mouth. Completely. In fact, the back hooks, look at that. You talk about lunching the bait. The back hooks are not even in the fish. Not even in the fish. Look at there. They're not stuck in nothing. And as a matter of fact, there's only one hook that's actually in the fish. He had the whole bait. He could have not been hooked, and I could have still caught him because he had the bait lodged inside of his mouth. Whew, that's a nice one right there. That's a male. That's another big male. But there's a few big females running around too. You need to retie, Jimmy. You need to retie, Jimmy. Okay. Now you've got a split ring on this bait. Most of the time, if you've got a split ring on a bait, you want to tie just a regular hard down knot. I'm going to cut off about 6 or 8 inches. You want to tie just a regular hard down knot. I love those little pliers. You can buy them at Bass Pro Shop. They're like $3.50 or $3.95 or something like that. They're very inexpensive. We're going to tie a hard down knot. Now, I'm about out of line. You see, I need to put new line on this. This is a 6'9" Blaze Series rod, $59 rod. Jimmy Houston Blaze Series. I'm gonna come down here. I want to feel several inches of that line to make sure there's nothing messed up where I've been catching all those fish. And a little spot down there, I'm gonna go ahead and cut that. Okay, double your line. If you'll remember to get you a pretty good little bunch of line here, double your line. If you'll remember to double your line, everything gets real easy on this knot. This is a Jimmy Houston knot, a pure 100% fishing knot. Run the double line through the split ring. Now you can use a cinch down knot. You want to put a loop knot on there if you don't have a split ring. But I've got a split ring. This bait is made to wake. I mean, it's not a bait that we've adapted. It's made to wake. I got the line laying on the index finger in my left hand. I got the line to run through here. I come up and lay the line right beside it. Now I'm going to come over here and get a hold of my bait, go underneath my finger, going underneath that index finger on my left hand, wrap it 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to come up here. This is what I've stuck through the split ring to begin with. Go on that little loop that's created under my finger. Grab a hold of it with my teeth. Wet it a little bit. That line's already wet, so it's probably not quite so important. But you wet it so when you cinch it down, it doesn't create any heat. Pull that line, pull your tag in line, hold your knot, put your finger in that little loop that you started out with, and then you can take your little $3 or $4 cutters. You can buy a lot more expensive cutters, obviously, but I buy a couple pair of these every time I go in there. They last forever. People are always walking off with them. Cut that really, really close. Nice, good, pure, 100% fishing knot. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! That is special. Wow.